right. Hello, friends. So sorry about that. We had just a couple teeny tiny little technical difficulties, but we've got them all sorted out. And as I mentioned, I'm Jolene Emery from Big Raven Yoga, and it is really nice to see you all today if you're able to jump in and join us for a few minutes, where I'm actually going to be talking to one of our guest artists, Elyse Dodge. And Elyse is an amazing artist, and I cannot wait to talk to her with you here too. And it's going to be awesome, and there she is. Hi, Elyse.
Hello. It says it's connecting. I don't know if you can already see me.
I can see your face.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Oh,
it worked.
So nice to see you.
You too.
Oh, how are you?
I'm good. I guess since we last spoke, I'm not sure if you saw on Instagram, but I'm having another baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's been the latest development. And then, just been busy with projects. How are you?
I am great. I am great. I mean, everyone is healthy, and we've had no, like pandemic related, like everyone is good. Everyone is in good health. And given that that's not the case for so many other people, we are counting our blessings one by one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does your little guy feel about being a big brother?
He's good. He's 2.5, so he's like kind of understands, not fully.
Sure.
But every morning he'll kiss my tummy and say, "Hi, little brother." So it's pretty cute.
Oh, that's adorable. That's
adorable.
Yeah. So can you tell, Big Raven Yoga people just a little bit about you in case they haven't seen all the really great information on our blog and the background story about you? Can you just tell them a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Elyse Dodge. I am Canadian. I moved to Los Angeles 2 years ago almost. But I grew up in the Okanagan, which is a beautiful kind of like lake country, mountainous region in British Columbia. So I was raised in the mountains, having landscapes around me all the time. My mom is an artist and my dad is a builder. He built every home we ever lived in. So I was really raised around an environment of creativity and, was never really pushed to go in, a traditional job. I was always given the opportunity to draw and create and explore my surroundings. So I was actually homeschooled for a good portion of my upbringing, which allowed me to explore my curiosity even more, which led me into design. And then after I graduated, I took a program in graphic design and event design. And that led me down a path of working as an art director for event production. So while I was doing that, I was always painting on the side. But while I was working in the events industry, I was doing a lot of large scale branding and signage for music festivals and conferences. And a lot of the work that I was doing was geometric. It was mostly, very abstract, not actually making landscapes out of it. But then while I was painting on the side and doing commissions for friends, just a few every year, I was doing landscapes. Mm-hmm. And then this aha moment hit, and I was like, you know what? I love contemporary design. I love minimalism. Like if it was my own home, I would want to have something very contemporary hanging on the wall. Thought, what would happen if I kind of crossed over my graphic design, geometric, job of all the branding that I'm working on and cross that over into my landscape paintings. And then that's kind of where this all was born. And then it just took off. And that was probably, I think my first geometric piece would have been like 2014. And then it's just kept growing and growing and growing, and now we're here.
And I'm smirking because I'm very familiar with your art and love so much how you have created something so peaceful and reflective out of something that's really a bit complicated, or it looks complicated. And I think that when I, have described you to others, I say it's like this beautiful contradiction between like serene and complicated. Like it's so amazing. So you have two designs with us. You have Traverse and Yosemite.
Mhm.
And you happen to have them by you so we can hold one up and show everybody what we're talking about?
I can grab them. I've got them in my
Awesome.
other room. Do you want me to go get them?
Yeah, totally, totally. And while she's popping away,
I'll be right back.
so Elyse takes this geometric love and the simplicity, and her landscapes are made out of a huge collection of little geometric shapes. And those shapes have different colors and shades, and it turns into something so beautiful. Okay, so which one do you have?
Okay, so I've got both here.
Oh,
I've
okay.
got the Chief. So this is Traverse, which is actually a mountain range in British Columbia near Squamish, and it's called the Chief. So you can actually hike this mountain. It looks a little different than the version I've done.
It looks so great. So I was just explaining about the geometrics and how they're all, different colors and shades. And come closer, come closer, come closer. I'm freaking out so much. Oh, it's just so amazing. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So when you're practicing on Traverse, does like anything come up for you? Any like emotional, or like what are you thinking and feeling?
So this one is very sentimental to me, this location. So there's a few things. Basically, the reason why I started on this one, I'm just going to roll it up quickly, was the Chief is like that whole drive is called the Sea to Sky Highway, and it's in Vancouver. And we used to do that drive all the time, going up to Whistler, which is where the beautiful ski hill up just above Vancouver. It's like an hour and a half drive. And it's the most beautiful drive you could imagine. Like ocean inlet on your left-hand side, mountains soaring above, behind it. And then you come around the corner and there's this massive jagged cliff edge, which is just unbelievable. It's called the Chief. And that's where tons of people go to hike, they mountain climb. Sometimes you'll see, I can't remember what it's called, like paragliding or something like that.
I think that like,
yeah. Outdoor enthusiasts. It's a really like hot spot where everyone goes.
mm-hmm.
And that whole drive is just always very sentimental to me because my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, we used to do that drive all the time. And it was like just one of our favorite parts. Even getting up to the ski hill was like the journey to get there. Pick really good playlists, and I don't know, it just always has these very sentimental memories to me. Mm-hmm. So that was what the Chief is inspired by. And then, well, Traverse. So then that illustration led to a mural. My first and only, well, actually, no, sorry. My first mural, I just did one. But it is in Vancouver, and it's 3,000 square feet. It's a huge mural, and it's painted the same illustration called Traverse.
How does a 3,000 square foot illustration?
Yes, 3,000 square feet. Yeah. Well, I was, my son was only 8 months old, and I had 2 weeks to complete it, and I was still nursing, so he would have to come by the site and breastfeed him and then go back to painting. And
oh my gosh,
it was crazy, but I'm so glad that I did it because it was kind of my last hurrah before moving from Vancouver to LA.
What is it like to stand in front of that mural, like your artwork on 3,000 square feet? Like what happens inside a person?
It's kind of crazy. I felt like it was just my stamp. It felt like it was very timely, even though it wasn't, because we were in the process of about to do an international move. I had an 8-month-old. My husband was traveling for work. We were about to go to Australia to sort out our visas. And all of this was accumulating in 1 month. And I
Wow.
was like, I mean, all of the logic in me was saying don't do it, but my heart was like, you absolutely can't say no to an opportunity like this. And it just felt like immense pride. And I was also so grateful because my community really came together to support me in making it happen.
Right. I believe that.
Yeah.
I I would love to see it someday. I mean, as familiar as I am with your artwork, that must be completely immersive to be
It's pretty crazy.
3,000 square feet of traverse.
And I made it so it's a perspective piece. So when you're standing across the street on a specific spot, you can kind of see it like a panorama, but it wraps two sides of the building.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
It's but like our friends are jumping in with, wow, oh my God, good for you. And like it's quite an impressive accomplishment as an artist. And that's wonderful for you. So can you tell us a little bit about, I love Traverse. I absolutely love it. I do not want to like say I have a favorite, but I also really love Yosemite. I love
Yeah.
colors. I love what it looks like when it comes off the press. I love everything about it. So can you tell us a little bit about Yosemite?
Yeah, and I can show it too, so that there's a reference.
I'm such a I'm like so excited and I've seen it a million times. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I'll try and flip it so it's like right side up.
So
But El Capitan right there.
so all of the geometric elements that make up, can you like help us understand your process a little bit? Like how do you decide where an element starts and stops?
So yeah, it's become so automatic. I've been trying to like put it into words better, so people understand. Because sometimes people make the assumption that I'm just pressing like some kind of filter on Photoshop to do all of the
Copy.
triangles.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, every single one is drawn out. So just to kind of give a quick like 1,000 or 10,000 foot view
Right.
of what my work is, I split it in two categories. So I've got my illustrations, which I start on the computer. That's all done on Illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my painting practice, which is basically taking those digital illustrations and projecting them onto canvases and then hand painting them. So that's what the mural was in Vancouver. That was all hand painted, of course. But those are kind of like the two categories. So
So
for the
you
illustrations,
very, very steady hand to all of that intricate line work done in such a way that we don't lose the geometric pieces. Like, I think it's incredible when you kind of break down, and I think you're absolutely right, Elyse. I think that there's probably an assumption that it is digitally created when this beautiful hybrid of creating it digitally so that you can get it to scale.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I have started doing a lot of digital pieces, kind of more as like my entry point because I found that the paintings take so much time.
Yeah.
Of course, it's like, every triangle is painted separately and you have to wait for them to dry before doing the next piece.
Right.
So it's like a long process.
Right. I that as an artist, absolutely. I have great impatience myself.
Yeah. So the paintings take so much time that the price point's a little bit more higher on those. So I started realizing like all of these digital pieces that I'm creating, those also appeal to a huge market as well. And even like before they're finished. So people will send me these gorgeous landscape photos. And then I'll just start illustrating over top of the photograph. And a lot of people were saying, oh my gosh, I love the unfinished version where like half of it is a real photograph and half of it is digital.
I would love that too.
Yeah.
Amazing. My friend Nicole from Wild Slice, I think I just saw her pop in, but I've seen her do that too. Or Lynn Sweet, where they have some realism and then they combine it with some, I don't want to say doodle images, but on topical artistic elements. And
Yeah.
so really cool hybrid like you were describing. And so
Yeah.
see a real interest in that kind of art. And, I know, here we are at Big Raven Yoga, and I lead us down this road of talking about art, but it's like, that's kind of the space we're in. We bring artwork to the substrate of a yoga mat. And as an artist, it's been my lifelong dream to put my art there. And then now I'm so blessed that I'm able to invite other people like you to use this, 2 foot by 6 foot substrate for your expression of your art. So I've loved every minute of our collaboration, and always look forward to what you're going to create next, because
Thank you.
it's so cool. I love it.
Well, that's the nice part about like the medium that I'm working in and what I'm inspired by. It's like there's endless landscapes, and every time I travel or move, there's always new environments that I'm inspired by. And that's actually like what Yosemite is, right? Like I was always interested in going there. It's been on my bucket list my entire life. And then during this whole lockdown over the last year, I was like, we're not that far away from Yosemite. Yes, we have a toddler. Yes, it's like, at that point when we were driving, I think the wildfire season was at its peak.
Oh my gosh, right.
So we were just kind of on hold, just waiting for a go ahead, because the parks were actually closed when we wanted to go. And I have this like thing about me where if there's a will, there's a way. And I'm like, you know what? If my gut's saying that this is the right thing to do, I think we should just get in the car and drive. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But if the park opens, we're going to be very close and we will be ready to go. And it worked. So yeah, we went and did my first trip to Yosemite. It would have been last year. I can't remember the exact month, but like in the summer.
Right.
Absolutely breathtaking. Like one of those few places where it really surpasses what you imagined. And I have a pretty big imagination.
Right. There aren't words, right? Like there aren't words big enough for.
It's just, the scale of it. You just can't really capture it. So, going there and seeing it in person, especially seeing tunnel view, which is what this mat is of.
Yep.
I just started crying.
Oh,
I probably will. It's hormones.
I think, and tell me what you think, but I think that yoga and art, for some of us, are very emotional experiences. And when you combine those things, it's like really great synergy. And I love that so much. So as I transition us into talking a little bit about yoga, how has your practice been during, I keep saying this time, like this time that we're in, that we've been in for a year, but what has it been like for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, so just this time in general before going into my yoga practice, but it's been pretty wild. My family, basically all of them are in Canada. All of my husband's family are in Australia. Of course, the borders are closed. And we have a toddler, and he's been working, like my husband's been working from home for the last year. And I thankfully have a home studio, so that was helpful because, I can make use of every minute, but it's been hard. I know it's been hard for everyone, but we have, like no grandparents to say, hey, can you watch the toddler for an hour so we can get out? So we've really had to rely on each other, but through that, we've also had to really find space for ourselves.
Right.
And just recognize like, okay, we know we're going to be pushed every day, to our limits. So how can we find space for ourselves, even if it's in like a small little moment? So I would say that my yoga practice became like my moment of peace, preparing for the day ahead of me, especially in the beginning of quarantine, because I think that was when I think a lot of people were feeling like it was only going to be, 2 weeks, maybe a month. But I actually was like pretty certain we were going to be locked down for a while.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how do we structure our days? How do I get in the right mindset?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, in the mornings, my husband would take my son for a coffee run, and I would get my child free time to practice yoga and just
Has your,
basically
has your
debrief.
practice changed at all? Because I mean, mine sure has. I've always been a power yoga person. I've been, that's the space that I teach in most often is yoga for the athlete or, a really hot vinyasa. Like that has always been my craving.
Yeah,
But here, during the pandemic, I don't crave that. I have completely different desires for my yoga practice.
yeah.
I crave gentle and restorative and yin and and it's weird because the world feels slower
Mm-hmm.
and my yoga practice has I can't do I don't feel called to
Yeah.
do aggressive. I feel called to find peace.
Yeah.
Had an experience like that?
Yeah, for sure. I think um, before lockdown started, like the one thing that I did every week for me that was just like my love. I just felt absolutely in love with this class. It was a hot yoga studio, but it was a flow sculpt class.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah.
it
Wait.
was
Jumping to
amazing. It's like full body sweat, you know? But it's like candlelit, beautiful music, like
that's nice.
everyone in this like warm, close environment. And that was my community because it was like, living in a new city, not really knowing anyone. And that was my thing. So when the pandemic started and everything shut down, I was like really grieving the loss of that because that
Right.
was like my chance to get out of the house and do
Yeah.
something for me. So yes, my practice changed from that because that was all about like, yeah, sculpting and toning and community and,
Right.
yeah, that's
Was,
kind of like what it was fulfilling.
was that at Sweat Yoga in Pine?
Yes.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
told me about them and how awesome they were and how it felt like home away from home.
Yes, totally. Yeah. I miss it so much. But you know what? They're starting to open up
Oh, good for
again
them.
here. Yeah.
For them. And
So,
you use the word grieving because I was hearing it sounded like a sense of loss
mhm,
for you during that time.
absolutely. Yeah. Again, I'm always hormonal right now, so I'm
Oh,
on the verge of tears at any point. But yeah, I think because I didn't have a community with like my friends and family that I used to
yeah.
be able to, if I was having a tough time, I could just go for a walk with a friend or
Mhm.
go and see my mom or, have that. And then when we moved here, kind of coming to terms with like, okay, we're in a new city, that'll change. But then thinking it's only a 3-hour flight. So if I really get lonely, I can go back home for a visit.
Right.
And then when that was taken away, it was like one punch. And then, when the one community that I had built up for me was taken away, that was again like another, okay, now I'm really disconnected.
Right.
And then I had one class that I would take my son to a few times a week. And then that was, of course, closed down too. So it was like, I really just lost all sense of community. So
Yeah.
that was really hard to process. And then switching kind of to the mindset of like, okay, how do I restore that? How do I build something up where I don't feel completely alone?
Yeah.
And I found Tone It Up, which is like just an online little workout thing. It's not like fully, yoga programs, but there's some really nice yoga classes on there. And I just like the fact that like I could put someone up on my screen and feel like they're connecting with me. And like, it sounds so silly, but I just
Not
need to
at
see
all.
someone's face.
Doesn't sound silly at all. And in fact, right here in our little community of people, you've got people saying hugs and, like sending you all kinds of positive vibes. But, what I'm observing and hearing is that this has been a really painful time and, painful for all of us in so many ways that I don't think we could have predicted.
Yes.
And My youngest son, he and I have March birthdays, and we are celebrating our second COVID birthdays. And
Wow.
we're both a little shocked that, because it was his golden birthday last year. He turned 16 on March 16th, and he kept
Oh.
saying, "My golden birthday just sucked," you know. 17th birthday's got to be better, and no.
Yeah. You know what though? There's hope coming.
Yes, there is.
There's been a shift, I feel
Yeah.
like just in the last few months, like before it felt almost um silly to feel hopeful because it was like, well, nothing's changed really. And like, we didn't have a vaccine confirmed in LA. Our numbers were
Yeah.
off the charts. Like right after Christmas, it was just
Mm-hmm.
like you didn't even want to go grocery shopping, like everything felt like a risk.
Mm-hmm.
But we've really seen that change in the last few months, and now vaccines are everywhere. As of the 15th of next month, anybody over 16 can get vaccinated in California. So it's just like,
Thank goodness.
okay, like we're getting there.
Right. I wonder if there'll be like a collective sigh of, and thank God, and oh my goodness, and I know we'll still need to be careful, and I would hate to
Yeah.
like pop out of the situation, but I
Yeah.
think after being so cautious and cautiously optimistic for so long,
Mm-hmm.
kind of good to just be optimistic,
Absolutely.
right? I
I
guess.
know. I know. Yeah. Like I felt, honest, especially being pregnant, I was quite nervous about vaccines. I mean, I never even got a flu vaccine when pregnant. So
Mhm.
I'm not to say I'm an anti-vaxxer, and that's fine if people are, but that's not what I am. But when you feel responsible for the life in your tummy that's growing, it's like a different kind of decision to make. But I actually got my first shot 2 days ago, and I've got my second one booked, and it's just like, I reacted totally fine.
Good.
I talked to my OB, I did a lot of research,
Yeah.
and it's just starting to feel hopeful. And I feel like, maybe our families can come and meet the baby when it's here. Like just the craziest stuff.
Like, isn't that a weird thing to think? Like, maybe I can see my family. And I think I told you previously that, our oldest daughter lives in LA, and we haven't seen her except, through a screen like this, and
Yeah.
miss her. And we like
Yeah.
want her here. But
Yes.
we also want her safe. And it's just such a bizarre thing to say, hopefully my family can meet my baby. Right?
Like I still
Like, oh my God.
I know the thought that I can't get on a plane and go 3 hours away without having to quarantine with a toddler for 2 weeks. Like it's been the longest that I have gone without seeing my home country or my family. Like my brother, it's been like, 15, 16 months. My mom, it's been over a year. It's just, if it was just me, it's all already kind of heartbreaking. But then when you add a grandchild into it, who's
Yeah.
like changing so much, it's like, it's hard, but you know what? I'm feeling hopeful now. So
I think you're right. I think
yeah,
that like the funnel is, I was looking at it like, and it was little at the end, and now it's looking bigger at the
yes.
end, like opportunity and, cautious,
Mm-hmm.
but careful, I guess, but hopeful.
Yeah.
And I know I haven't felt very hopeful in a while, so it's comfortable to feel that way again.
Yeah, totally. And it's just so exciting to have a moment of that and then think, um, once that change does happen and everyone or most people are getting vaccinated and things start to cautiously open back up again, um, it's going to be like the roaring 20s because people have been in lockdown
Right, and that was an
craving
era.
connection. Yeah.
Our,
And everyone's just going to be so, I feel like I just keep on thinking like the first music festival that happens,
are the
like
first
everyone's going to be crying.
people or yeah, any of those firsts.
Yeah.
I'm
Because
gonna
everyone's just going to feel like, oh my gosh, we've missed one another. We don't even know one another. We've missed each other.
right or hugging and all of those things. I'm looking forward to all of that or not feeling so yeah, just letting our guard down a little bit.
Exactly.
You said something to me last year that has stuck with me every time I practice. And
Oh.
yeah, you said that you think about things with your yoga practice with a grounded feet and spirit. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I love that. How does that come up for you in your yoga practice? Grounded feet, soft spirit. Sorry.
Uh, um, well, I think that's what yoga is for me, is, it's just that opportunity to just connect with my purpose and just feel really present. Because I think I find this, especially as a mom, I just always feel like I'm trying to catch up. I'm always behind, and I'm always feeling like there's more to be done, and seeing the to-do list and getting that kind of anxiety build up. And as soon as I do my yoga practice, it just settles me.
Mm-hmm.
I stop, I take deep breaths, and that alone just kind of grounds me. Mm-hmm. And then I think, like, growing up, I did rhythmic gymnastics competitively for a long time, for 12 years.
I love that about you. Like, it's kind of Cirque du Soleil, right?
Yes, yeah, like the ribbons and the hoops and stuff like that.
That's so
and we trained crazy hours.
I
It was
bet.
like a very, committed, dedicated sport. And you naturally felt like you had to compete, and you always wanted to, even if it was just competing with yourself, push yourself a little bit harder, point your toes a little bit better, get your splits a little bit deeper. And whenever I did yoga, I always felt that kind of rise up in me, where it was like, those other two girls in the room are more flexible than you. You did rhythmic gymnastics for 12 years. You should be able to get your leg higher. And that ego would rise up a little bit. And I needed that, because I'm like, that's not what yoga's about.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the part about the soft spirit, is just reminding yourself, like, forget the ego, this is not the time to, like, think about outperforming yourself or somebody else. This is the time to just be soft and then grounded at the same time. And that's kind of where it came from. It's just a little motto to remind myself.
It's brilliant. And I think about it all the time.
Oh.
We've bought this farm and we have, this new vision for our business, the Big Raven Yoga Farm and Event Center, where, we'll be hosting yoga retreats, and, 13 people can sleep here, and we have a 1,200-foot yoga studio, and it's great. It's a blessing, and I'm so looking forward to, being able to invite people to come.
Yeah.
As you talk about I could have, I should have, I didn't. I think that the grounded feet, soft spirit is such a beautiful reminder to be kind and gentle,
Mm-hmm.
and as kind and gentle to myself as I am to others, because that's kind of my way of being. I would never, allowing people grace and dignity has been really important to me my whole life, especially as an adult.
Yeah.
And when I think about those words, outside of my practice, it applies, but especially, within the border and the foundation of my mat, I think about having a soft spirit for myself.
Yeah.
And such a beautiful reminder. And I'm so grateful that you said it. And I wanted to tell you that I think about it a lot because it was really powerful and it stuck with me.
Oh, well, sometimes we just need those little easy things to repeat in our mind. And especially if we find that there's, like, something that resonates there. Yeah, I think that's, like, even if you don't have time to have a full yoga practice every day, like I'm finding now, also being in my second trimester and having a toddler, that I'm, like, trying to potty train, trying to run a business.
Well, we had a really funny experience here, our incident on the farm, I guess it was last week. So my youngest daughter, she is 18, and she decided that she wanted to do some yoga outside. And so she took a yoga mat out onto some flat area outside and she started to run through a gentle vinyasa. Well, we have free range chickens and
Oh, no.
like cats and we have a dog and like so everybody came to the party. Everybody was on her mat and she just had this opinion or thought that like it was going to be so peaceful and she was like getting pecked at by chickens and it was awesome. I like love that that happened.
Isn't that just life though, right? Like you try and find peace and you're like, okay. Like I'll be doing yoga and I'll be like, oh, there's some yoga or some Lego pieces. And
Oh,
then my son will come in and like jump on my back and I'm like, okay.
yeah.
That's why I mean, like sometimes those words and those moments of just like taking 30 seconds in the day and just like deep breathing, repeating those words to yourself and remembering like, yeah, like ground your feet, soft spirit, go forward with your day. Like sometimes that's your practice.
Well, and when I first started practicing, I was so yogi serious. Like, oh my God. I used to be such a killjoy. I would I went to a power class every Friday, like at I don't know, 9 a.m. or something. And a lot of the women in the room knew each other. And so chat, 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 and they're talking and they're like catching up. And I would lay there with my thumbs in my ears because I just wanted some peace and quiet. I mean,
Yeah.
I told them, you know, like here I am, like sticking my fingers in my ears, such a cat. And like I was so serious about the whole thing. And when I let go of all that nonsense and prescribed what it should be,
Mm.
so much more fun and felt so much more fueled by the experience and became a yoga teacher and here we have a yoga business. But I just love that I was accepted warts and all and crappy and
Well, you know, there's two sides to that coin. The other side was in the moment you knew what you needed and you
yeah,
were been quiet. So you're
you know,
like,
I might have
my
even
practice is
them like
peace
isn't
and
that cool?
quiet, yours is community.
Yeah, yeah, just like oh my
Have a quiet community.
but I still you know I'm grateful for the memory because it's just so ridiculous you know in that you know and I can't believe that was me
Yeah. Uh,
for wanting
we
to.
all have those moments.
I know, right? Don't we?
Yeah.
So what's coming up for you? Like first in the world of art, because we know baby's coming soon, but like what are some of your artsy fartsy things that are on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I actually, I just wrote a post about this on my Instagram recently, and it was just saying, kind of, I don't know if luck's the right word or if it's just like, um, I don't know, just hopeful, I guess. But whenever things start to kind of flatline for me with work, and I feel like, I wonder where my next project's going to come from, and that like doubt, you know, starts to sneak up and tap you on the shoulder and say like, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Should you look for a full-time job? Like, you know, all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, like emails pour in, and it's like, you know, requests for custom digital illustrations. Two galleries reached out to me in the last month and want to represent my work. Like all of this, and a brand reached out and said they want me to paint a mural in San Diego, and like all of this stuff just starts funneling in out of thin air, you know? And so
like it manifests because it's supposed to.
exactly, it's just that little reminder of like, you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path, you just need to keep trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to do that when you're like feeling, you know, those lulls. So I just came out of that a few weeks ago. I finished, you know, a busy season. And of course, the second that my last commission painting finished, I was just panicking because I was like, I have some stuff that might come through, but I just don't know. Long story short, there's one gallery in Whistler in BC, which is the place I was talking about earlier, right past where the Traverse piece is. There's a beautiful gallery there that I've been to before. They represent some amazing artists, and I'm going to be working with them. So I'm super excited. So you can see I've got my massive canvases lined up, ready to start painting. So I'm going to send them some pieces, hopefully before baby comes.
I'm so happy for you. And like, that's incredible. And I feel so proud that you're with us too. Like that's,
Oh.
I love you. It's
Oh, you guys are great. Honestly, like I'm really selective with who I choose to work with because I think it's always a representation of what your brand is about as well, you know? So I get people reaching out who want to do collaborations and often it's just not the right fit. But
right.
when I came across your guys' stuff, I was like, absolutely. Then we talked and I was like, she's like a long lost sister. So obviously.
Now I'm gonna like I'm not thank you. That's
Yeah, we
you.
gotta help each other out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay. Well, before we say goodbye,
Yeah.
are you dreaming about any other like yoga mat designs? Is there like one lurking in the back of your head? Is there like something we could look forward to for the third installment of an Elyse Dodge?
Yeah. Well, oh, that's a great question. I mean, I'm always working on pieces. Um,
I love your oranges. I love the,
the
mhm,
oranges?
I do.
Oh, like the colors.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, I haven't painted oranges.
the orangey sunsetty, you know,
Yeah.
love those because I mean I love Traverse with its pinks and Yosemite with its browns and like when I've been on your website and like cruising around your Instagram and you've got those sunbursty colors, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Well, I really want to do like an Arizona piece.
yes.
Yeah, I haven't done one of those yet, and I've just been kind of waiting for an opening in my schedule to start doing more work for myself.
Well, when
Um,
you are ready and have time between, galleries hunting and chasing you down and new babies and toddlers, we always here for you whenever you are ready to add another one to the collection. And honestly, we feel so proud and privileged to have you be a part of our little family. And thank you for being with me today to talk about art and yoga and family and hopefulness and moving on with some optimism. I'm
yes.
really, really, really grateful. And for those of you who may not know where to find Elyse's work at Big Raven Yoga, it's in the guest artist collection. And one of them is called Traverse, and the other one is called Yosemite. And they're absolutely breathtaking. And I promise they will not only take your breath away, but make you feel that grounded feet and soft spirit at your next yoga practice.
Well, thank you. It was so nice talking with you. And thanks everybody for coming and visiting with us today.
Fun.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. And I know we'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.